On to the next, from Motorvids. What kind of famous racing people did you eat? Meat, perhaps? Meat, yeah. Contacted you concerning your sim racing passion. Smiley face. Well, I guess the smiley face makes up for eating people. I do have perhaps one interesting little story though. A couple of years ago I was at Arden, GP2, GP3, working on their simulator. We installed a Botnar wheel, which was quite new back then, and I did the physics work for it. So those two things together really made a big step forward for their simulator. And I recall Charles Peak, who drove F1 last year. With the old simulator, he was always, he didn't want to do more than a couple of minutes. He said he got sick, nauseous from it, and then with the steering wheel feeling much better and the physics being better, we couldn't really get him to stop. So he was driving and enjoying it and learning the track, and it was all quite good. So all very hyped up, excited, adrenaline, and it's all a very good weekend there. And then this guy walks in and introduces himself. So I shake hands, polite as I am, and I say, "Hey, I'm Niels." I said, "Yeah, I'm Christian." And he says, "How's it going?" "Well, yeah, it's going great, and Charles is already enjoying it a lot, and he's learning the track, and he already said, the simulator is better than the one at Red Bull now." So yeah, this Christian guy said, "Oh yeah, good. Well, good. Yeah, it's all going well." And then Christian walked away, and I went back to work, and then I figured, hey, Christian, Arden, Red Bull, Horner. Oh right. So yeah, that happened. That really happened. So I probably never worked there then. But yeah, that was interesting. I don't watch F1 a lot, so I don't recognize all these people and in the adrenaline of everything. Well, it was true. We weren't lying, but I could have been more, let's say, tactful of what I said. But so yeah. The Bravo Chimp goes on to ask. Well, it's actually not goes on. He didn't ask that previous question because that was from Motorvids. What's your favorite cheese? Yellow, blue, stronger, old cheese. What got you started in all this sim stuff in the first place? I mentioned that really, didn't I? So I just grew, literally grew into it. And Kevin Benningshoff kind of asked the same. How did you get involved with sim racing and eventually started with Ryza? Well, the Ryza stuff is of course something I didn't mention yet. At some point, back in 2006-07, I wasn't quite as nice as I am now. So if you don't like me now, you would have hated me back then. I was of the type that gets into arguments on the internet, but I've learned and I've grown up now, and it's fairly useless to get into arguments on the net. And I realized that people behave differently when you can't see each other, and so. But back then I was a little bit of an a-hole at times, possibly. So I complained a lot and I shouted a lot on forums. And one of the people I shouted to was Renato Simeoni from Ryza Studios, because he just was working on the GP79 mod, and I was trying that time just to getting into modding and working on the handling, and I didn't like the handling of his car, so I sent him an email, relatively polite. I wouldn't say I was always shouting and stuff. It wasn't that bad. It's not like today on YouTube or comments or virtual R comments. I was never that bad, hopefully. Anyway, so that's how we got introduced, basically. And of course, Renato worked for Simbin, I think, for a long time, and he just contacted me when Ryza Studio started, because by then I've already matured and I did some mods for R-Factor, such as I think Historics was done by then, and also the Corvette and stuff. And well, he held my work in high enough regard to see if I was interested in doing the physics, which he could do himself, of course, because he did Card Factor, which is quite a good mod. So it's not that he didn't know what to do, but probably preferred me, which is quite a, that's quite an honor, really. Katadong! Which motorsport interests you most? What do you think about WRC or just rally in general? Well, I mentioned don't really watch a lot of motorsport, but WRC is the new part. I quite like rallying, but I don't watch it really because I just don't watch TV. I don't watch any racing. Sorry about that, but yeah, rally is great, especially in the old days. Just a bit like regular road racing as well. The old days were crazier and better, and I think even in rallying, rear-wheel drive is better than four-wheel drive. So up until Group B, I think rallying was better, but then Group B was amazing with a lot of power and craziness, and yeah, I see rallying as quite an awesome form of motorsport. What's your favorite F1 era? Asks Christoph Urban. Era. Ooh, late 60s, early 70s, I think. Probably because of Grand Prix Legends, and partly because then people just had the Cosworth engine, so a lot of teams have had a reasonable performing car. You could get in and had a chance at points, and some interesting circuits then. A little bit of aero, a little bit of, you know, slick tires, they just about came, but it wasn't over the top. So some great drivers as well. Probably, yeah, but next time you ask me, I'll probably say another era. Bob Barnes asks, will you ever play Euro Truck Simulator 2? I doubt it. Not a lot to drift there, but it's potentially... I see the value of the point of games like that, but I don't think I'll drive it. Magzire asks, what's the meaning of life? William asks, hey Niels, I feel that I know you already just by watching your vids. You look like a great guy. Thanks. Wait till you get to know me. Then it gets worse. My question is, how do you keep yourself in love with this hobby? Because I never see you competing in any league or online races. Is the physics tweaking and testing that makes it? Thanks videos, I watch them as soon as they come out. Cheers, man. Well, thanks a lot for being so kind, and that you like my my videos and my work. That's actually one of the main things that keeps me in love, as you say, with this hobby. It's not the only thing. It's also there's a lot of selfishness in this as well. I just take personal enjoyment out of working on a car and the physics and driving and designing pedals. It's just, I find it fun to do, but if people wouldn't react positively to it, then the fun would be gone quite soon. So the fact that a lot of people really like the pedals that we sell, and also the physics from Ryza Studios are held in pretty high regard. So yeah, that's a major part in the love of this hobby, is the recognition, and yeah, it makes me it's quite humbling to see so many people enjoy it. That's great. Caleb Norris, hey, we had him before. What car/cars have you owned in real life? Ooh, that's the embarrassing part of this Q&A. I knew it would come, but I also said I would try to answer your questions, all of them. So I'm still on my first car. It's a 2001 Ford Fiesta with a 1.25 engine. You know, when the engine capacity has to be expressed in 2 digits. Probably not a very quick car. Although it did have at some point 75 horsepower, and it's quite light. So at one point it was probably acceptable, especially considering they also have a 50 horsepower version with a not a Z-Tech engine, but some old iron block. And if you recall the name Brantham, his nickname from the guy who was in charge of the historics team. He also has a Ford Fiesta, so we got talking, and it turns out he has the 1.3, which sounds more, but it's actually the 50 horsepower cast iron version. So I do not own the slowest car in the world, but it's close. Comedic Sketches asks, please tell me you drive like a hooligan in real life. No, unless your grandmother is a hooligan. I behave normally in traffic. I wave in, I nod, I I'm just a saint in traffic, really. I see no point in misbehaving there. Erwin asks, what's your favorite X-Files episode? Mulder and Scully. And that's all I know. Dead Apple asks, have you ever raced in any kind of motorsports? No. What's your favorite dream car? What's a good way to get started modeling physics? I've always been some kind of audiophile, especially when it comes to cars. So what's your favorite sounding car of all time? What's your favorite era of motorsport? A lot of questions there, Dead Apple. Well, I never raced in any motorsport, nope. My favorite or dream car is, I would say, a 15-year-old Ford Fiesta 1.25 Z-Tech, which I own, coincidentally. I don't really have a favorite car, you know, for everyday use. I don't see the point. My next car, if there will be one, because the one I have, it works, and that's all I need from a car. I kind of like something realistic, like the, what is it called, Suzuki Swift Sport is a nice small car. Perhaps that's a nice one to have for my next car. But dream car, I wouldn't know what to do with like a Roof CTR, which is an amazing car, but that would kill me very quickly. So Ferrari F40 is somewhere up there. Yeah, something like that. But I better not own them, because things will get expensive soon, or very dead. Really dead. Like, whoa, totally dead. Favorite sounding car of all time? BRM 16 cylinder, 1.5 liter V16. I think that would qualify, or at least be up there. Alex, heel and toe, or boobs? Oh dear, what a question. I guess it is a highly regarded question, because it got 11 upvotes. Well, I sometimes heel and toe in my 15-year-old Ford Fiesta, and for one thing, I always have to tell my girlfriend that I just did it, so it doesn't lead to boobs doing heel and toeing. They don't care really. So, but hey, I've got both. No Q&A would be complete without the age-old question that has been on the minds of men for thousands of years: boxers or briefs? Commando. Artem Paremi asks, holy crap, what a bunch of text. Hi Niels, since you award bonus points for funny questions, if people from Poland are called Poles and people from Holland called Holes? Well, pretty close. You just have to put like an A in front of that, and yeah, then you're on to the Dutch. Now on to the serious stuff. What type of car do you enjoy driving the most? Briefly mentioned, rear-wheel drive, plenty of power, historic-ish, most likely. So that's very broad, but that'll do. I assume that you got some data about the 2014 spec F1 cars, since such a car will be part of the next the Game Stock Car Extreme update. Well, a little bit of data. What's your favorite movie, book, TV series? TV series? Nah, I don't watch them anymore. I'm onto them now. So many series are basically the same. They just have this plot where every now and then there's a bad guy, and then at the end of the series, we took out the bad guy, but oh no, wait, there is a conspiracy. There is a bigger group of bad guys, and it just I don't like television series. It's a cheap way of hooking the watcher into coming back, and they annoy me these days. But I'm probably missing out on some really good ones. But if you go back, I do like Seinfeld a lot. As okay, that's a sitcom, but it still applies today. It's not one of those cheesy, predictable sitcoms. So yeah, Seinfeld is probably my favorite TV series. What kind of music do you listen to? It's got some variety, but if anything that's not poppy or whatever is used on, say, advertising and stuff, all that, oh, we're so happy music, that really makes me sort of sad and angry. So I don't like that, but it can be anything from rock as well. I used to like Marillion quite a lot, which is sort of progressive rock, which is sort of a bit pretentious name to call it, but progressive rock, Dream Theater and stuff. I like how they are such able musicians, but there tends to be a bit of lack of passion or feel or authenticity. And other bands from the past, like Motorpsycho from Norway, I think, it's more raw, but it feels more honest and yeah. But I do like the quality of play as well. As I played a little bit of drums, I'm quite picky to how well people are playing their instruments. I was a bit into another Swedish band, Anekdoten, which is quite nice. Their older albums. And what else? Porcupine Tree is more on the great players, great drummer with Gavin Harrison, but not always genuine or emotional music. But something like Nick Drake or some of the quiet stuff, or Jimi Hendrix or Led Zeppelin. It's yeah, can be quite a lot of stuff, as long as it's not oh, we're so happy, and it makes me want to smack somebody in the face, which I don't do. I'm not a violent person. What kind of stuff are you interested in outside of sim racing? Not a whole lot. No, my life is so empty, you know. Zero clap. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm getting confused here. Then B Sim Racing asks, what's up with the turtle in the background? And then Bird Dog replied, it's a snail, and he's correct. Yeah, there or there, when I announced the Q&A, you saw a snail macro picture of a snail. What's up with that? Well, it was one of my nicer close-up pictures that I made. With perhaps that's an interesting story, perhaps not. As a student, of course, I didn't have any money because I spent it all on beer and all that stuff. So I wanted a digital camera, and I noticed that a Canon A70, which is, you're talking 2002 or 3, I think, used to go bust because they had a lens error, E18. And I figured out from some online searching that you could repair that. So I bought a broken Canon A70 from eBay for, I don't know, 20 bucks with a memory card. And then about 1 million screws later, I had everything on my desk, and it was a big mess. And then there was a grain of sand somewhere in one of the cogwheels for the lens mechanism. So I took that out, put it all back together again, and had about 2 screws left. So yeah, it was probably put together reasonably well. Then I had my first camera, and just 3 megapixel, but it actually, you know, it made reasonably good pictures, and it was full manual. So I started a little bit of photography then, but I'm not a photographer or anything like that. But it's that's the story behind that, and it worked well enough to make some big prints. And I also have one of fornicating insects, but we'll go into that when we go into the psychotic tendencies, I guess. Right. Richard asks, racer or drifter? Both. All that choosing and lists and stuff, don't like those questions. I would love to see another physical sim racing session, by the way. You want me dead? Well, there are more plans for that, of course, because always working on improving the simulator and possibly even improving the steering a little bit. Richie Speed asks, hey Niels, I can think of many questions, but I'll choose just one for now. Have you had the opportunity to drive any cars, racing or road legal, on any tracks in reality? Nope, sorry. I do want to do that at some point though, because well, why not? It's fun, and I'm quite near the Assen TT circuit where the MotoGP drives, so perhaps at some point I'll be able to do some, but it's so expensive, you know. And of course you can do a track day or an hour or in something, but it doesn't work. Oh, as I'm so boring, even a spider is looking for a new home. Focus, yes, hello. Insects taking over. Oh no, I'm so boring. He was saying, oh yeah, about racing in, well, boink. Back, yeah. Real life racing. It doesn't work if you just do 1 hour. It would be very impressive and interesting to do, but I want to do it properly, like a multiple days or weeks or even having my own car, because you need to be very good at something or have to have spent a lot of time with something before you can judge what you're doing or relate it to sim racing. So you can put me an hour in a car for an hour and it will be awesome, but that doesn't make it apply to sim racing or to vehicle dynamics. It's more complex than that. Very interesting to me, because your physics work is very impressive. Thank you very much. So whether you have real experience or not, you certainly understand how to make a car feel real. Cheers. Well, thanks for the compliments. That's very much welcomed. As I said, all the positive feedback really helps making this work not feel like work, but just like fun. So yeah, thanks. Hey Niels, what's the coolest car you've driven in real life? Ford Fiesta 1.25 C-Tech. Has anyone asked you to test a race car in real life? No. You seem to be really fast. Sim racer, almost alien-like. Even when going sideways, you put down crazy good lap times in your video. Well, thanks very much for those compliments. But I think the sideways driving is a good reason for people to not ask me to drive their real car. Predictions: 5 and 500 years out. Well, in 5 years I'll be 40, and in 500 years I'll be dead. Addicted to pianos. Do you know the sim racing site A Race Department? What do you think of it? Oh, of course, yeah, we have the Game Stockcar forums there, and speak to Brom occasionally. Not spoken to him for a while, but yeah, no, a cool gathering of sim racing. One of the better sim racing forums, of course. Empty box. Sorry, brain. Box. Confused. Sorry. Apologies. Empty box, of course. How much time do you spend actually racing people? I recently did a video of that because I saw this question and I at least wanted to have something to answer. How many copies of GSC do I need to sell to get a set of pedals? Haha, cheeky. I don't do a lot of racing online, as you see, but it's every time I do it is great, but then I don't do it because there's all sorts of other work going on. But I will definitely try to do that more in the future because it's such a blast, and perhaps we should race online together at some point, Empty. Right, that's it for now. Thanks very much for watching. There will be multiple sessions, as this is already about 1 hour long in the raw video. Editing work, dear God. Thanks very much, guys. See you next time. Thanks for all the questions, and I hope you enjoyed this, even though it's very long. Bye bye.